Hello and welcome to another episode of OatmealBreakfast Plays a Video Game. This episode 14 of the show. I am starting a new Sudoku puzzle today. It seems to be a lot harder. It's hard to believe that I will solve it. Watch and find out if I can solve it. Today I want to talk about worms. I hope I have enough to write about worms. If not, I can talk about something else. I had never given worms a lot of thought until I read a book about worms. I never thought, are worms able to survive under a highway or house? Are there different types of worms? I never wondered how long worms live, or even knew what they ate, or even thought about how far worms may live under the Earth's surface. I still don't know much about worms, but I know more now than I did a few years ago. Maybe if I talk about worms it will help me remember more about worms. Before I read the book about worms I never even wondered if worms were native to the United States. One thing I do know now is that I have a lot to learn about worms. The worms in the ground are not the ones that are used for vermicomposting. Because the earthworms don't like to be disturbed, and live in burrows in the ground. Eisenia fetida is one type of composting worm. They need bedding, and food. The bedding can be cardboard, paper and I can't remember what else. I know it's not good to put citrus in your vermicompost system. The composting worms like to live in moist conditions. When the worms die they decompose fast, so it's unusual to find a dead worm. The worms are both male and female hermaphrodites. Even though they are both male and female, the worms need to mate with other worms. They can store sperm for a while. It doesn't seem like it would be hard to vermicompost, but I don't think I will be able to vermicompost. It seems fun though. I might want to learn more about worms though. Worms can live for several years. I don't think anyone knows how long worms can live. Vermicomposting is something I want to try. I want to see if I will be able to keep the worms alive. I thought maybe I might want to sell vermicompost, but first I need to vermicompost and see if I enjoy it. I wonder how many worms are out there that no one knows exist. There must be some. Or there could be more than some worms no one knows about. I think one of the biggest worms is the width of a highway. I suppose like bees I thought that humanity knew everything about worms there is to know. Or at least knew all the worms that existed. One thing I think would be good to do would be discover a species of an animal, and have it named after myself. I have talked about that before, I know. I think naming an animal after me OatmealBreakfast would be great. I did just remember one fact. Charles Darwin studied worms. And he made several discoveries about worms. I never thought that Charles Darwin would have studied worms. Wow. What else can I say about worms? I am not scared of worms. I don't think I have ever been scared by worms. Worms. I wonder if there is a hit song about worms. Worms are the coolest animal in the ground, or the compost pile. Worms eat the microbes that eat your vegetables, and other waste you put in your compost pile. Worms don't like it too hot, or too cold. Worms live longer than you think. There are worms for the ground, and for the compost pile. Worms are both male and female, but need to mate with other worms. Woman babies are in cocoons. Worms like wet conditions. I need to learn more about worms so I can write a more informative song. I am glad I learned some fact about worms I can share with you. Worms are certainly more interesting than I thought. As you can see, I am slower on this Sudoku puzzle. Why can't they all be easy? Then they would be no fun if the puzzles were too easy. I hope my ramblings have put you in a relaxed mood, or to sleep. I know I am about to nod off. I am going to get this Sudoku puzzle finished. I know it. Good night.